Now that I explained the framework that I use to understand the financial RetireTech space, in this video I will share the current views that I have about the different approaches that I saw. And I say my current views because my opinion can change with time and it happens very often. But first, to sum up what I explained in the previous videos, startups in the financial RetireTech space target mainly three types of customers: people, employers, and financial advisory agencies and firms. And their products solve problems that can be categorized in three main buckets: education, aka educating people and businesses on how to save for retirement; investing, aka how to let users easily save their money and invest in assets; and finally, admin duties and paperwork, aka all the legal constraints and duties that people as well as businesses must complete in order to stay in compliance and avoid problems. Without further ado, let's start with the first block in our table: education. As we saw in the previous video, the education block is one of the first to be tackled in this space. The main reason is that preparing for retirement is not a topic that most people learn at school or even get informed about early in their career. So there's a lot of education to do in order to explain to people what are the options available to them. What are the benefits of saving for retirement? What are the problems they'll potentially run into if they don't, etc., etc. It's a very user education heavy type of space. So the need for user education is there. But one thing that struck me when I did my research is that there is no shortage of content about this topic. There's an endless number of articles, videos, interactive quizzes and calculators that explains the ins and outs of saving for retirement. This is why when I look at the education component as a whole, clearly content itself is becoming a commodity and there's no defensibility in educational content. And I believe that it will be even more the case with the rise of generative AI, which is perfect for creating a lot of content around these technical topics. The barrier to entry will keep lowering. So when I ask myself how startups can differentiate themselves in the education block, I can think of two answers only. But if you have more, please share them with me. The first way to stand out is branding. Since content is a commodity, and there's probably won't be crazy new information you can come up with, the game will happen on the branding side. When users are offered a lot of free educational content, they often gravitate toward the companies or people with the brand that speaks the most to them. The second way to differentiate in the education block is to bundle content with a software product. It's, for example, the case of Silver, which provides financial institutions with a white label content platform. Silver basically sells the educational content it produces together with a software platform that B2B customers can use out of the box to educate their own customers. Several other products provide internal content portals that employers need to pay so that their employees can access this content. So to sum up my views about this education block, first, educational content itself is becoming a commodity. Second, branding will become increasingly important to stand out in terms of education. And third, it's not a pain point which is easily monetizable. This is why educational content is mostly useful to generate leads. But the monetization happens more with the investing and admin duties blocks, or by building software around. The investing block is a very interesting one because it's a value proposition on which startups can theoretically stand out. After all, if a startup is able to provide better financial results than traditional advisors or robo-advisors app, they basically win the game. In terms of investing people's money, we can differentiate three main approaches. First, you have startups which don't provide any investment recommendations. They are not advisors, but can be administrators of the investment you make, for example. Second, you have startups which provide recommendations, but with a limited scope. They are often brokers which have partnered with existing financial institutions and provide investment recommendations through this partnership. They are not the ones who make the recommendations and actively manage people's money. And finally, you have startups which have a financial advisor license and operate like traditional financial advisors. They provide recommendations on a wider basket of assets and investment vehicles. They also manage the money of their customers more actively. It's the case, for example, of Human Interest, which provides financial services through a subsidiary company registered at the SEC as an investment advisor. The thing is, regardless of the model adopted, I don't have the impression that any startups that I found have actually an edge on the investing side. Most probably cannot offer better performances than existing financial advisory firms and agencies. A telling sign is that no startups I found brags about providing better financial results. When it comes to investing for retirement, they all put in front the fact that they help you invest your money in a secure and flexible way, automatically, so there's less work on your side and everything is available easily. The second value proposition I saw is to let users choose in which type of funds to put their money. For example, you can choose to invest your money in climate change funds, or impact funds, or socially responsible funds, etc., etc. Another way to differentiate, if not on pure performance, is to allow other assets. It's the case, for example, of Alto. So to sum up my current views about this investing block, first, while it has, in theory, the strongest value proposition potential, aka earn more money for users, in reality, it's very, very hard for startups to provide better performances than existing financial advisors. And why? Because there's probably currently no tech edge that can be built compared to what already exists. And there's also the question of the business model with management fees which are all going toward zero. So it will be increasingly hard to monetize this aspect too. As a consequence, the main value proposition of many startups on the investing front is that they offer web interfaces which are convenient for users. So the differentiation / value proposition are more in the product and user experience than in the performance of your investments. Let's finish with our last block related to administrative duties and compliance. Here we can distinguish the pain points felt mostly by people, which are mainly related to tax filing, tax optimization, and paperwork duties, whereas for businesses there's an additional and crucial compliance component. In terms of opportunities, for the employees and retirees segment, there are already several software products that help people with administrative duties, such as how to take into account what you save for retirement in your tax filings, for example. Traditionally, doing this paperwork is a very manual process, whether you do it yourself or with the help of an accountant / financial advisor. But the overall direction is toward more automation, with software increasingly fetching data for you, filling the relevant forms, or notifying you of what has to be done. That being said, it's kind of an obvious idea, so it's likely to become very competitive there. But there are also more specific admin tasks which are increasingly tackled by startups. I already mentioned Manifest in a previous video, but retirement saving accounts consolidation is a good example of such very specific task. In France, we also have what we call career reconstitution. It basically means that once you reach the age of retirement, you need to provide a wide range of papers to the administration in order to get your retirement money. The problem is that not everyone keeps all these papers throughout their 40 years long career. So you have financial advisors who are specialized in reconstituting your career by finding these documents. And once again, software products are also coming for this pain point. All in all, the challenge here is to monetize the customers. It can be very difficult to monetize the consumer segment with these pain points. But we'll explore this topic in more depth in the next video. Unlike the consumer segment, which is hard to monetize when it comes to administrative duties, it's actually the bread and butter of many financial RetireTech startups. Once businesses contribute to their employees' retirement plans, they need to make sure that they stay in compliance. This is why from all the startups we covered so far, it's in this block that we find the most well-funded companies. For example, Human Interest and Guideline, which both offer tools to help businesses manage their 401k, have raised several hundreds of millions of dollars. On this employer side, I yet have to discover where the new opportunities are, since many startups already address this compliance component. On the financial advisor and advisory firm side, I have the impression that the situation is slightly different. It seems that the incumbents are these typical big software firms born in the 90s / early 2000s, which provide army knife products that are a bit heavy to set up and a bit heavy to use. So the two main opportunities that I saw startups pursuing here are first to provide better products with more modern interfaces that are easier to set up and use, and second, to digitize many of the tasks and various aspects of the financial advisor's job, which are done manually. It seems that there's space for new, more verticalized or niche products on that front.